Hello everybody and welcome to the Whiskey Dictionary, where I do the research to try to teach you a little something about what you're drinking. When I originally put out my beginner bourbon buying guide, I had no idea it was going to be as popular as it was, and I'm honestly taken aback by the amount of suggestions of other bourbons that people thought were great ideas. So I kind of curated the list as I said I would, and I looked through it and I really felt like it needed to have a part 2. So what I've done is I've put together another list, and these are more beginner bourbons that you may really enjoy. So if you've already gone through all of the bourbons on my previous list, first off, very good. But if you're looking for some more suggestions, here are a number of new suggestions. So let me start off with the Evan Williams Black Label. Now you might be thinking to yourself, that's a little meh, but let me tell you, this is a great bourbon to start off on. This is really I think it's like $15, maybe $14. I personally remember buying this bottle when I couldn't afford Jack Daniels. So it's a good one to start on. It's a decent sipper. It's a good mixer. So if you find it's not your thing, you can totally just mix it and not have to waste it. So I'm going to recommend Evan Williams Black Label. Next, I'd like to move on to Old Forester. Now, it happens to be my father's, one of his favorites to make Manhattans out of. It is a good sipper, it is great for Manhattans, and in general, it's a decent bourbon to get yourself started. Now, let's move on to Larceny. Now, Larceny is what we call a wheater, and what that means is that its second behind corn most abundant grain is wheat. And what this tends to do is it really smooths out the whiskey. It gives it a very approachable taste. Now you'll be able to learn a little something from this because wheat is not nearly as abundant in bourbons as, in my opinion, it should be. I think it's a great grain to add. So moving along, the by far most requested bottle that I should have put on my original list is the Elijah Craig Small Batch. Now this is a wonderful dram for sure. I've had it a few times. I don't know why I didn't put it on the original list. Probably should have. Either way, it's going to give you a lot of smoke, some spice, some nutmeg, and frankly, a desire to pour a second dram. So definitely check out the Elijah Craig Small Batch. Next, one that I personally thought was a pretty good idea. I almost put it on the first list, but it's a little bit more middle of the road than I think I was wanting to go, is Jeffersons Bourbon. Now, why would I recommend something that's kind of middle of the road? Well, for exactly that reason. It's a stepping stone, and that's exactly what most of these are. So it also has a little bit to it that you can learn from. So it's very wood forward. So if you taste some, you'll kind of get a lot of oak, and it might be a good way for you to tell what oak tastes like in a bourbon. All right, next, and for the only bottle I happen to have on hand at the time, or at the moment, is Willet. Now this is Willet Pot Still bourbon. It is a very, very cool looking bottle. It looks exactly like a pot still. So if you ever do a little bit of research and check out what a pot still looks like, it's exactly like this. Now, I'm recommending this for two different reasons. Number one, it's a good dram. It really is. But number two, this may open up a little bit of a different side of drinking whiskey for you. So obviously a cool bottle. There's lots of cool bottles out there, and there's lots of boring bottles out there. There are a lot of people who love to collect whiskey. This is a bottle that I tend to see on people's shelves who collect bottles for their look. For obvious reasons. So, Willet Pot Still. All right, and lastly, I'd like to talk about Angel's Envy. Angel's Envy is it's once again a really cool bottle, but more importantly, it's a very good dram. It's definitely the high point. I've actually listed all of these in price range from lowest to highest. It's about $50, and it is delicious. It's a cool looking bottle. Honestly, it's a fun dram, and it's made by people who know what they're doing. So I personally had one for my bachelor party. Somebody brought it for me, so maybe I have a little bit of sentimentality to it, but either way, I think it's a great, great bourbon, maybe even approaching kind of like an intermediate level. So that does it for my second part 2 of my beginner bourbon buying guide. So if you have any other suggestions, please put them down in the comments. I doubt I'll do a part 3, but I will once again curate the list so anybody who's checking out this list in the future will see other recommendations that you may have suggested. So thank you for joining me here on the Whiskey Dictionary, and have a great rest of your night.